Hello, welcome back and welcome to day 15 of Junk Journal July. Today's prompt is homemade, and for this prompt I decided to use index cards and vintage magazines because when I think of homemade, I think of food. So I decided to make homemade recipe cards with vintage recipes, basically. So they're gonna be like vintage style. I'm gonna try to age the cards, and I'm looking through these magazines looking for recipes that I want to use. I had one in mind here, but I didn't know where it was, so I kept looking around. So I really wanted to do food because that's the first thing I think of when I think of homemade. But technically, my whole journal is homemade because I made it myself. But I would think of that more as a handmade thing than homemade, but I think they both mean the same thing. But for me, homemade is food because, I don't know, I love food and I love cooking. So here I selected a few recipes. I was looking for things that would look nice. I didn't even read the recipes. I kind of read as I went through, but I was just trying to see how they would look like, the layout of them, more than the recipe itself. So here I was trying to figure out if I was gonna use that or just the recipe. And this first recipe, it's very short, actually. It's scalloped corn. So it's gonna be a small piece of paper there. And I thought that was too small, but 2 recipes in the same card didn't fit. So I needed to find something else. Before finding something else, I decided to make a tab. I wasn't gonna make a tab originally, but then I saw a recipe card in one of those magazines that had tabs. And I said, well, I need to make the tab. Not measuring anything, I attempted to use that corner to measure the other corner, but then I decided not to, so I just did it just by looking. And I used the first one as a template for the other ones. There I go. So I cut the corners in here, and then I go with my trimmer, trying to figure out where to stop. This is a very hard part for me. I don't always succeed. You see here, I needed to go a little bit further, but then in the next one, you're gonna see me failing. So I'm cutting again the corners using the template, but I tried to stop, but I didn't stop when I needed to stop. I went far into it. I was trying to clean as I go because, oh my God, with Junk Journal July, my desk was a mess. I had to clean my desk a lot before journaling today because I had so many scraps. I'm generating so many scraps. So then I went through all the edges with my potting soil archival ink to make it look older. And I went also inside the card, but towards the corners, because that's how paper normally ages. It tends to ages towards the edges first, and then the center is always lighter. So I was trying to simulate that. So I was going very lightly over the card, and now I'm going to start putting everything together. So here I'm trying to see if I can actually fit 2 recipes, and I'm trying to see if I want to use one of those letters there, words or the cartoons, but it wasn't working. I really had no idea what to do when I started this project. I knew I wanted to make recipe cards using vintage recipes, but I had no idea how to. So I kept looking, and this ended up taking me a long time because I had to figure out how to do it. So then I went in my old-fashioned fruit and vegetable stickers that they have that vintage look, but they have a white border. So I put more ink to make it look older, not so white. And then I put that corn because this recipe uses corn. So we're gonna have a corn in there. And I keep trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with all that empty space. And when I don't know what to do, washi tape comes to the rescue. So I selected a few washi tapes. I was thinking of like a shabby chic look for this, not necessarily like shabby, really shabby chic, but more like country. Because I don't know, I was thinking these cards came from someone who lived in the country in the 60s. That was my thought process as I was making this. I always try to imagine who would use this type of thing, like who was the person who made this recipe card. So it was someone who lived in the country in the 60s. That was that was what I had in my mind while I was doing this. So country and shabby chic to me come hand in hand, at least in my mind. I'm not sure if that's true. So I wanted to have that floral pastel colors in there. And then I put those salt and pepper shakers. And I'm gonna actually start writing. So I wrote the name of the recipe, scallop corn. I tried to simulate like an old style handwriting, which I don't know if I can do, but that's not how I normally write. That's not my handwriting. And then in the empty space, I wrote notes, a favorite. Like I thought, if I had actual recipe cards, I would make notes like that. Oh, this was really good. Oh, I hated this one. So that I know in the future which ones I like or not. Then there were more empty spaces, so I did some stamping. I wanted to do it, there you go, fading, like not a very strong stamp. So I did that. The next one now, it's gonna be spaghetti and beef, ground beef and spaghetti. And I actually picked this one because it had a picture. It's black and white, but you still can see like the nice tablecloth. And I don't know, who doesn't love spaghetti? Like ground beef spaghetti. I want to eat it now. So I'm gonna kind of do similar but different. So I'm inking all the edges and inking the picture as well. This one had like a description of how the recipe was, but I didn't use it because the recipe was too long. So I have the ingredients there, but the instructions have to go on the side. And I'm gonna use the picture as a background kind of thing in this one. And that's what I'm gonna do. And I was trying to think, that this one needed some more washi tape. Again, in that floral country style. I don't even know if that's country style, but it's whatever it's going on in my brain at this point. So I'm gluing. I had so much glue in my fingers doing this because all the pieces I'm gluing are very small and I'm just putting my fingers everywhere. It was kind of messy. So there is the spaghetti picture. I really like that tablecloth. They really tried to make, to take a nice picture. It would have been much nicer if they had color photography available for this magazine in 1960. Because I believe this is actually from 1960. So that's why I'm thinking the person who saved this is from the 60s. So then I'm missing something there. So I'm going to grab this sticker and I'm going to put this important sticker in there because, I think ground beef and spaghetti is important. That's like a staple meal, at least for me. So it's an important meal. So I'm writing again. using my 60s handwriting. And then I wrote love because that's the note I want for that card. And then I'm gonna date this. I put August 1960 because I don't know. August is my birthday month that's coming up, and because this is from the 60s. This one's newer. I think this magazine is from the 80s, which is also vintage considering that we are in 2024. It's it's over 40 years ago. So I guess that's vintage. So, and it has colors. So the previous one didn't have, like the magazines I have from the 60s don't have any color, but the ones from the 80s have more color. And I love this picture here. It is a drawing, so it's not like an actual photograph, but it's really nice. And this, it's like a cake with strawberries. The name of the cake is in French. I'm not going to even attempt to say the name because I'm gonna ruin it completely. So I'm gonna use the whole image there because I really love. Oh, then I ripped it when I was trying to glue it. So see how I'm putting my fingers on the glued paper? Oh my god, I don't know why I'm doing that, but there we go. So, oops, I'm trying to fix the boo-boo and I fixed it. So I wanted to have the whole picture because it's very pretty. It's for St. Valentine's, and I like the heart and the strawberries and the roses, and everything looked nice. So I decided to cut the recipe. And it's very small. This recipe, the ingredient list is separated into two. So I'm gonna put those in there. And then the next piece of paper, it says whole strawberries for garnish. So that's also gonna go in there. And here I'm putting more glue on my fingers. Oh, that's when my Fitbit told me I was not running, but burning calories. Like I was in fat burning mode, and I looked at my heart rate and it was very high. I honestly didn't feel stressed or anything. But that made me nervous. Like seeing that my heart rate was like 126, I was like, what's going on? But then I looked again and it was 64. So I think my Fitbit, it's just going crazy, not telling me the right thing. But from then, I was shaking. But my heart rate was fine. So I don't know. It was also time for my morning snack. So you'll see me shaking throughout this video. I'm like a baby. I need to eat every 2-3 hours. And if I don't eat, I get shaky and I start seeing blurry. So I can wait like up to 3.5. If I let it go for 4 hours, then things go bad. So right now, I think I was in the limit. So that's the name. I'm gonna put it again on the back. So this one's gonna be different than the other ones because the instructions didn't fit in the front. So I'm gonna do the instructions on the back. And I was thinking that although I'm doing this as journaling cards, I didn't mention that. I'm thinking that this could be a good idea for journaling cards, but they can also be a good idea to keep your own recipes. I've seen recipes in magazines that sometimes I want to make, and then I don't know how to save it, but I think making recipe cards like this, where you don't have to write everything down, you just glue the recipe onto your index card. I think it's a great idea to save recipes that you find in magazines. So it's core à la crème. I don't know how to speak French. I can speak Spanish. Maybe I could pronounce some Italian, but French, oh my god. I don't know. I can read French, but I cannot speak it. Well, I keep looking at my Fitbit because I was like, what's going on here? So I need to make sure that my Fitbit is doing weird things. It's not my heart all of a sudden going very fast. But I'm fine. I feel good. Don't worry. So here I'm adding the whole instructions, and I put that classic Valentine dessert. And I'm trying to see if I find like strawberry stickers, but they were too big to include in there. It needs something, but when it needs something, what do? Washi tape. So washi tape always saves me. Especially this one. This one is my favorite. This is my favorite washi. No, what I was gonna say. This is my favorite shabby chic washi tape. I don't know. That's what I would consider shabby chic, that washi tape. Then I'm struggling here with my fingers full of glue, and I'm trying to clean the mess because, oh my God, how did I make all this mess? And so I'm actually getting rid of all the scraps because why not? So now the fun part to figure out how I'm gonna put these cards in my journal. So I want to make 3 pockets, and to kind of have that layout, I'm gonna use that paper that has gold foil. It's very beautiful. I'm measuring here. I wanted to measure in centimeters, but I kept putting the inches side. I kept checking my Fitbit at this point. So this one, it's a very countryside paper, and I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna use. So I made it 12 centimeters long and 4 centimeters height. That's gonna be the size of my pockets, and I'm gonna make 3 of those pockets. This paper came in a recollection scrapbook paper pad. I think it's called Oxford Garden. If you've seen other videos, you've seen me using this a lot. I use it a lot to make my shabby chic journals. It has a lot of shabby elements, so I really like it. And here, this page is dyed with green, so I decided to add some more ink. And I'm using another homemade element. I recently made this tape. This is backing tape that I put some text and images in there, and then I soak it in water and remove the paper to have that image transfer. I saw it, I cannot remember. I saw one of you junk journalers doing this, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna try. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know how to store this, so I have it laying on a piece of parchment paper, and it's a mess. It's a mess because when it dries, it recovers its stickiness, and I don't know how to save it properly. So I decided to add this as another homemade element because this is like those PET tapes that you buy, like a washi. They're like washi style, but they are plastic, and I think they're very cool. But you'll see me in a few seconds covering all of this up. Once I put the buckets, they are not really visible, except the top ones. But I thought it was, a nice addition, and I can make more. I can use more of my magazine text pages and make more of that. So then I'm cutting, I put the 3 pieces of paper together to cut a thumb notch so it would be even in all of them. And I'm inking and making it to look older. I was worried that the gold would not go with the vintage in my cards. You see here how shaky I am, but I'm okay now. But once I added the ink on the edges, it wasn't bad. Like, it looks really nice, actually. It doesn't look too new compared to my vintage recipe cards. The paper, it's actually not white, it's like a creamish color, so it helps. I cut that one upside down, as you can see. But again, it doesn't matter because it's gonna be mostly covered by the other recipes. Here, it's when I realized that the cards were gonna be taller than my journal, and one was gonna stick out. But that's okay. It's not a big deal. So I'm gonna glue them very close to each other. So it's gonna be like a multi pocket page. You can actually do this in a different piece of scrapbook paper where you make the pockets and then glue that whole thing on your journal page. Or as what I'm doing here, I'm just gluing them directly on my journal page. You can stack them in a way as well that they overlap, but I didn't consider that at the beginning because I actually thought that I could glue them more separately. But if I were gonna make this again, maybe I would stack them because that way the top one was not gonna be off my page. Then I'm checking what the day was because I couldn't remember. I forgot to check weather. Oh my God, weather was the hardest prompt. So far, I struggled so much. But homemade, I actually enjoyed it a lot. I think I can make more of these recipes cards for my journals, like journaling cards. And then I'm using that small page to write homemade recipes. There. So disclaimer, I don't know how to spell recipes. so I had to look it up in one of the other pages because recipes and receipt always confuse me. English confuses me sometimes. So I'm gonna add that piece of that floral washi tape to kind of connect everything together. I'm rounding my corners and I'm getting ready to stack them. I really like how these ones look like, and I really enjoy making them. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye. Oh, I'm actually gonna put the picture at the end.